Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this YouTube Live. I wanted to share my story of my aortic dissection with you. So here it is as I remember it. My fiance is with me in the background. She's going to be feed me lines if I don't remember everything exactly, because first day or so was a little shady after the surgery. But anyway, so here we go. Um, So it began when I was headed to work. Um, as soon as I turned on the road for my job, which is about maybe a half mile long, as soon as I turned onto the road for my job, um, I felt a tightness, just a solid lump in the middle of my chest. Um, and it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like a normal ache and pain that I had ever experienced before. So I get to work, I park the car, and I go in and I head right to my boss's office. His name's Ray. I went to Ray's office and I sat down in the chair. And by this time, I'm sweating profusely. Don't know why. I'm just feeling a little anxious, feeling nervous. And I sit down in the chair and say, "Hey, Ray, I'm not feeling the greatest. I'm not, something's off. I don't know what's wrong." And he looked at me, and I think this man is probably responsible for saving my life, honestly, because I'm one of those guys that when you uh, feel sick or you feel something's off, you just tough through it and you go back to work and you just deal with it. It's just one of those guy things. But this felt different. So I told him, I said, "Ray, I said, I don't feel well. Something's not right." And he looked at me, and this is his exact words, word for word. He said, "You know your body better than anybody else. So if something's not right, you need to go get it checked out." So I said, "Okay." Well, by this time, not only was I sweating profusely, I was also feeling a little disoriented, but I was like almost like a drunk feeling, but not entirely. So I got back in my car. I started driving. I was like, "Well, I'll just drive to the emergency room. They'll know what to do. I'll give them my symptoms, and they'll know what to do." So on the way there, and I called my fiance, and I said, "Hey, something's not right. I'm driving to the emergency room." So she took that as, "Hey, you know me better than anybody else. You know me better than I know myself. If something's not right, number one, I'm driving myself to the emergency room. And number two, something's definitely not right because you never go to the doctors, you never go to the emergency room, so on and so forth." So I'm one of those guys. Um, so she was like, "Okay, I'll meet you there." So this is about maybe a little after 5 o'clock in the morning, about 5:15. So I get to the emergency room and I check in, do all the, normal routine stuff. And I go in, get checked in, and my fiance comes in about 10, 15 minutes later. By that time, I'm not only sweating profusely, I'm gray. She said I looked gray. Um, I know that that's not a good color to look because I'm pasty pale white. So I know that looking gray is not good health wise. So I did recognize that. So I sat there for, I don't know, probably maybe hour and a half, close to 2 hours, um, in pain. That pain in my chest was just growing, and they wouldn't take me back. They wouldn't give me anything for pain. Um, was starting to feel maybe a little nauseous at this point as well. Um, but so they finally decided to take me back into one of the rooms in the ER.
After they did your second set of labs.
This was only after they had done a second set of labs on me.
And your second EKG.
They did an EKG as well, and they had also, based on those labs and tests, they had surmised that I had a non-STEMI heart attack. That's what they treated me at this particular hospital. So they had me back in the room. The doctor came in to see me. He's like, "Hey, we think you had or are having a non-STEMI heart attack, and we're gonna try to move forward with that." So as a result of that, they gave me heparin and they gave me 2 pills of nitro. Anybody that knows anything about aortic dissection knows that heparin and 2 pills of nitro bottoms your blood pressure. I was at 60/20, but still sitting up and talking like I am right now. It was a little unnerving to my fiance, to say the least, but we pushed through it. So they were going to go in. The doctor's decision is thinking was he's going to go in and do a heart cath on me, just to further analyze things and to make sure that what his finding was correct. So they sent me down to the cath lab to do prep, where they shave you downstairs and they get you ready for that. So they're getting me all shaved up, getting me prepped, and the doctor, Dr. Williams, he decided to give me a second CT scan. He gave me a first CT scan before the prep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so upon the second CT scan, he had saw the aortic dissection. He knew that the hospital that I was currently in was not equipped to handle an aortic dissection. So they flew me, they life flighted me to a hospital about 2 hours away, about an hour and a half away, that was better equipped to handle such a dissection, because I had, from what they tell me, I had totally dissected from the arch down to into my groin. So they were life flighting me. They pumped me full of drugs. I don't know the cocktail mix, but it was pretty nice. And so I'm laying there on a table, and my fiance's there, and she remembers the nurse from the first hospital giving report to the second hospital. Well, she has a background in medical, and she knows enough to know that when the first nurse gave the report to the second nurse, that it wasn't good. She had held it together up until then, but then she started to lose it a little bit. So I'm laying there, I'm pumped full of drugs. My parents come up to see me. One of the guys that I worked with, he could come up to see me as well. And at this point, I knew that things weren't right. I didn't know exactly how serious it was, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking, these people that I love and care about are here right now. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to see them again. So with that being said, right before they took me to life flight me to the second hospital. Um, I told my girlfriend or fiance, she's girlfriend at the time. Um, I had told her, I said, I want to tell you two things. I said, number one, um, just a little background story. Her parents have both passed on, and um, I'm old school, so I wanted to ask her nearest of kin, which is her sister. She's really close with her sister. Um, I had went to see her sister about a month before this happened and asked for my fiance's hand in marriage, and she, of course, accepted and cried and all that gushy stuff. So anyway, so I had told my fiance, I said, I just want to let you know, about a month ago, I went to see your sister. And I said, number two, your engagement ring is coming in the mail. If I'm in the hospital, when it gets to the house, don't open it. Was very clear about that, even under sedation. Um, so next thing I know, they're like, okay, it's time to go. And they life flighted me out. So I'm in the helicopter and I'm riding along and it's kind of bumpy. I'm an old country boy. I've never flown helicopter, airplane, hot air balloon, none of that. Never flown. So I look up and I see the panel, the instrument panel of the helicopter, and the co-pilot is sitting there trying to keep me calm and everything, which, I mean, the drugs are doing a pretty good job of it, but she's there trying to talk to me, keep me awake and everything. And I just closed my eyes for a second and I said to myself, you're in your truck and you're on a backcountry road. It's a little bumpy, potholes and such, so you're going to be just fine. So then I opened my eyes again, and wasn't too long after that, we touched down. As soon as we touched down, the wheels came down, and I was wheeled directly into surgery. Surgery was it was about 8:15, maybe 8:30 that night. And then I didn't get out of surgery until almost 2:30 the next morning. So they went in, from what I'm told by the doctor, by the surgical team, they put a cage around the ascending, the part type A or part A, put a cage around that and left the bottom half or the descending to be medically managed. So I was in and out of it for the next almost a day. I remember coming to, and I didn't have a tube down my throat. And my fiance, she remembers when I had the tube down my throat, but I don't remember that part. I was still under heavy sedation. And they were wondering if I was ever going to walk again, just because of the surgery and how long it took and all that. So I remember waking up in the hospital room and she's there with me. She stayed with me probably for about a week. And then she had to go back home for a couple of days, and then she came back and forth as her work would allow her to. And so while I was in there, they gave me the breathing, the box with the tube on it that you blow into, and I didn't want to cough because obviously they had cut my chest open. It was open heart surgery, and they had cut my chest open, and I didn't want to cough. Matter of fact, I was so stubborn that I didn't really cough. I would half cough, or fake cough, as it were, just to appease the people around me. I know that I probably should have, but hey, it hurt. So yeah, I wasn't going to do something that hurt, even with pain medicine. Um, so I was there for 10 days, between nine and 10 days. I think it was 10 days that I was there. And then came the day that I was to go home. So went home, took us about an hour and a half to get home, and then became the slow process of recovery. Um, my insurance company had a physical therapist come to the house. She was there for one session, and she gave me a printout that you can print off the internet, and had me do a couple exercises, walk me through a couple exercises, and then said, "Okay, I'm signing you off. You're good to go." So that was a little odd, but regardless, I was doing physical therapy on my own, basically, um, trying to walk as much as I could. Started walking with a cane, then I came off the cane. Um, I ended up going on Amazon and buying what I call an old man grab bar, that slides under your mattress, and you grab a hold of it and pull yourself up um, to sit up in bed, because I couldn't. My alternative was to pull my legs up, grab my legs with my arms, and rock myself back and forth until I was able to sit up. I didn't want to do that, so thank you, Amazon, for my old man grab bar. So as time goes on, started getting a little better, and then the 1 month checkup comes. I drive back down to Baltimore, and I go in and do a CT scan. The CT scan showed a
CT scan, doctor.
the CT scan showed that I had a leak, um, right below the patch in my aortic, in the cage. Um, so the doctor, the surgeon, called me when I was almost back home into my hometown, um, and said, "You need to go to the nearest ER." So I did. And I sat there and waited for about 11 hours. And then they transported me back down to the second hospital, in what I can describe as a Amazon delivery van. Um, that's the nicest way I can put it. Um, and once I got there, um, they took me into surgery again. I was in there for a few hours. Um, they had gone through my groin, and they had put a stent in, to repair the leak. So then became the second recovery, that I was just getting over the first one.
Remind me, you had no symptoms or anything prior to.
So as a side note, I had no symptoms, um, nothing to trigger this aortic dissection. Um, I had no idea that the second, the leak in my aorta, the second one, that was found with the CT scan, I had no idea that, I wasn't showing any symptoms. I had no idea that that leak was going on. Um, so then became the second recovery. So um, I ended up going into cardiac rehab on March the 6th of this year, and that's been going well. And another side note, my fiance and I are planning on getting married in October. When we set the date, we did not know that the date that we picked, the alternative date that we picked, the first date was September 26th. After a few rejections, we ended up changing the date to October 10th. So my fiance was getting her nails done, and her nail tech and my fiance were talking back and forth, and her nail tech asked what was going on with the wedding, and she told her. And so she said, well, what's the new date? And she said, well, it's October 10th. And her nail tech looked at her and said, well, don't you know didn't your fiance have something going on at that time? And then it hit her that will be the 1 year anniversary or aortiversary of my aortic dissection. So my fiance and I are getting married on my first aortiversary. So like I said, things have been going well. Any advice that I could give to newer people going through this, or anybody really, if you feel that something's not right, depending on, or not necessarily that, but if you feel that something's not right, go get it checked out. Please go get it checked out. Don't try to be the tough guy. Don't try to tough through it. Just go and get it checked out, because obviously for me it worked out, but the surgical team said that I had about a 10 to 15% chance to live. So yes, I realize I'm a walking miracle. I'm grateful to be alive. And I'm grateful to be sharing this story with you guys on Facebook Live, or YouTube Live, not Facebook, YouTube. So that's my story, and thanks for listening, and thank you for listening to my story.
Well said, Jason.
Thank you.
Well, let's start with saying hello to the people that decided to say hi. We've got Bruce, Tom, and Velda.
Hello, everyone.
There's a couple of people also shy in the background. So, first off, I like the anecdote about being a little old school and wanting to ask the next of kin for her hand in marriage. That's wonderful. Congratulations on your betrothal.
Thank you.
The old man bar, hilarious. That's good stuff.
I mean, that's, like I said, I'm old school. That's what I call it. It's an old man rap bar.
Well, it's just because I can't help with the bed anymore.
Yeah, my fiance, she can't help me out of bed anymore because she tried to help me, and she ended up tearing her rotator cuff.
Ooh.
So that was the other reason why we got the old man rap.
Right on, solving problems. Do you have any experience with side effects on any of the medications that you've been living on since?
Yes, I guess one of the side effects that I'm experiencing currently is amlodipine. My amlodipine, my doctor recently tried to change my dosage from 5 milligrams to 10 milligrams, and my feet and legs and calves are swelling.
Ooh.
So that is something that's being addressed. He had actually another doctor in that practice that actually contacted me, because the original doctor, my cardiologist that's in charge of my medications, he actually was on vacation at the time. So another doctor stepped in and has put me back down to 5 milligrams. I don't know that it's helping drastically, but it is helping some. Another thing that I've noticed is, I'm guessing it's probably from the surgery, but I've got a spot on my tailbone that you could probably poke with a needle and I wouldn't feel it. I don't know whether that's from the surgery. I don't know whether that's from laying in the bed, recovery for that long. I'm not really sure. But that's another, I guess, side effect of the surgery.
Well,
but other than that, I really haven't experienced much in the way of side effects.
okay. We have heard of people with frozen shoulder or numbness in their fingers, and having listened to stories in this community for several years at this point, no surgery's the same, no patient's the same. Side effects are kind of wild and varied, which makes kind of following all of the medical histories kind of chaotic.
Right.
And some people, like, they just they take forever for some of these things to come back. Kind of one of my favorite recovery stories is a lady named Martha, who's one of our Canadian reps up there for Aortic Hope Canada. And she, when I first met her, I was introduced to her. She could only get 2 or 3 words out at a time, and it would be halting, and it would take a little while. And then years later, we would find out that she's this wonderfully articulate lady. And so it's, it's something to be said for how fast the human body heals, and you just never know where you are in the spectrum.
Right.
How about your sleep quality? This is another thing that I get very curious about. Your body is, it's going to heal a lot during sleep. It's going to do the most.
Right. Sleep quality hasn't been the greatest. I do wear a CPAP machine because I have sleep apnea. Still going through the process of trying to get that refined and get to the root of the situation. But there's some nights I'll wake up at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and there's some nights that I'll sleep through until 5. But normally my biological clock, as it were, was used to getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. I was supposed to be at work at 5.
You're one of those people.
Yes. Yeah, the early risers.
Yeah.
So I was, like I said, sleep quality hasn't been the greatest, but there's just, like I said, I'm still going through the early stages of the CPAP machine and getting it dialed in, and all that. So, yeah, I'm sure it'll get better over time. But right now, like I said, sometimes it's just, yeah, it's touch and go sometimes. I don't like it.
No, I
like to be able to sleep like a log.
Yeah. We've got Elena joined at the chat. She says, hello, thanks for sharing your story. Takes courage.
Thank you.
Bruce shares with us. He says, this was the quickest I have shed a tear in a Survivor video. It's great to hear from you, Bruce.
Yeah, I could see my fiance behind the laptop. She was tearing up when I was going through before they life flighted me, that part. She was tearing up. So
yeah. Another question that I like to delve into is, it's called ICU psychosis. Did you experience any weird, kind of like, one of my favorite stories about ICU psychosis is a young lady that joined us in a support group was telling us that she was for sure that she was in a game show, and the way to win the game show was to knock the little silver thing out of the ceiling. And so she flooded several rooms in ICU. And when she comes back for her checkups, she's pretty famous for that.
So yes, I do have one particular psychosis story.
Share.
So apparently while I was under sedation, I just had come out of surgery. I was being wheeled to my room in my mind. I'm being wheeled to my room, and there are, I'll just say it, there was an Asian man, an Asian woman. Um, the Asian man was at the head of my bed wheeling me, and the Asian lady was at the foot of my bed wheeling me, and she was keeping the lookout for turns and corners and all that stuff. So we made the corner around the hospital, and the bed had bumped one of the corners. And he looked at her and he said, "You need to be more careful. We already have a bad stigma for driving as it is." I remember this like it was yesterday in my mind. My fiance says, "No, you didn't, because that never happened, because you were under heavy sedation until the next evening, the next afternoon, when I woke up and started remembering stuff." So yeah, I did have one of those psychosis
Oh,
moments
that's
that
good.
apparently never happened.
I feel like that's better than another one of my favorite stories. A gentleman called his wife a few days after being there, and he was just like, "Listen, they're doing experiments on me. I don't know where we are, but you got to get me out of here. You got to break me out." It's just, these stories are pretty wild. People have
Right.
seen glowing beings. People have seen aliens. People are for sure they're in some kind of underground CIA bunker getting tortured. It's pretty wild what happens in there.
Wow.
When it comes to the mental fortitude of recovery, are you exploring any therapies at all? Mental therapies, psychiatry, or anything in that nature?
Um, I'm not. Um, I guess I maybe should, because I guess the gravity of the situation hasn't sunk in. Yes, I know that I'm lucky. I know that, and like I said, I'm grateful for every day that I have on this earth, because I know that I was real close to losing that opportunity. Um, but like I said, I don't think the gravity of the situation has fully hit me yet. Um, Not that I'm planning on losing my mind or anything, but I think that that would be one way to help compartmentalize feelings and things of that nature. So yeah, I should probably look into it. I haven't explored that avenue yet.
It's a thing. They say that men don't typically seek out these therapies. It's just a thing. Grin and bear it, right?
Yeah.
On that same line, if the anxiety isn't something that's climbing up you, if you're not seeing any personality changes, well, one thing that I've learned in the support groups is some people are very open about having a very short temper after this, like it's a short fuse. And they're not
Right.
trying to be snappy, they're not trying to be withdrawn, they're not trying to be kind of this underlying anger. But we hear this, we hear these stories. Have you experienced anything along those lines?
Um, no, thankfully, I'm pretty slow to anger. Takes a lot. Normally, before the surgery, it took a lot to, you know, get me riled up, as it were. Um, but yeah, I haven't experienced anything like that, and it's unfortunate for people that that has happened to, just because of the surgery. It's just a bad side effect.
Okay. And my final question, as I see, I'm hoping that somebody else might have some questions for you in the chat here. Are you taking an active role in just walking daily?
Yes.
Hmm?
In my neighborhood that I live in, um, there's a spot with uh, I guess like a small group of mailboxes and a playground. I try to walk at least to there and back. every day. Something that doesn't happen because of the weather or whatever. But I guess I could invest in a,
Walking pedal.
um,
Um,
well, I was going to say an umbrella, but yeah,
Hmm.
that too. Um, so yeah, I try to, the apartment that my fiance and I live in, um, has stairs up to the second floor where the bedrooms are. So I try to climb those um, several times during the day, and then coming down in the morning, going back up at night. Um, so yeah, that's a big component of the recovery, is trying to stay active and not get yourself in a slump uh, physically, because um, not saying you're going to get back to the spot that you were in, because God knows we don't want that, but just being able to progress and grow those muscles that were, that haven't seen activity, your normal activity in a while. And I know it's going to take quite a while to get back to even 80% of the stuff I used to do, because I was, big outdoorsman, uh, fishing, camping, hiking, swimming. Um, where the geographical location that I live in, um, I'm real close to the mountains. I'm real close to rivers and lakes, streams. Um, so it is, um, yeah, it's just been a progressive thing to try to get back to physically being able to do those things again without tiring out very quickly. But like I said, it is progressing. It's progressing slowly, but it is progressing.
Well, I'm going to give you a caution here. In this first 18 months, I would ask you to give yourself a little bit of grace on that healing, especially the progression. Your body went to war, right? That's the thing. Your body was at war. So the healing process is going to take, what do they say, 9 weeks for the chest to heal up. But I mean, you were sedentary for a long time at that point, and then getting going. Um, if you've been introduced to the aortic athletes, one of the things that they like to talk about is little by little by little. So start your walks. I like that you have an idea for how far you're going and you're measuring it. But even still, in those first 18 months, I'm not asking you to push it by any means. You know, um,
Right.
we have some more questions coming in as well. And but one thing that I always seem to omit here is, what about your family history? Did you have anything like this happen on either side of your parents at all?
I haven't had that. I was able to do genetic testing.
Okay.
That those results haven't come back yet. I'm still waiting on those. Um, but both of my surgeons had told me that you don't fit the bill. You're
You're
under
so
50.
young.
You don't
Yeah.
smoke. So there's no real rhyme or reason. A couple of my other doctors had hinted at Marfan syndrome, but like I said, the genetic testing hasn't come back yet, so that hasn't been confirmed. Um, it's just some things in my previous medical history, like I had a punctured lung when I was, I guess, maybe 21, 22 years old. Um, that was just out of the blue. Um, so, oh,
Oof.
there we go. A little light.
A little bit.
sorry.
Um,
No worries.
so,
Sorry to the car.
yeah, that was one of the things that they had hinted at was Marfan syndrome. But like I said, that hasn't been confirmed yet because the genetic testing is still out.
Okay. All right. So let's see what the chat has for us. Velda's asking, how is your energy level? Is it improving?
Um, it is, but it's very slow. My fiance and I occasionally attend a wedding expo now and then, just to, we pretty much have our everything for our weddings put together. We're actually in Ocean City, Maryland right now. We're down here for the weekend because we're meeting our wedding coordinator tomorrow, and then on Monday we're meeting our the person that we're renting an Airbnb from for the wedding. So during those times, the wedding expo being down here in Ocean City, we're trying to get out, trying to walk, trying to be, active little by little. And like I said, it's a process, just because, like, I know from the first wedding expo that we went to, within a half hour, I was like, okay, I gotta stop, pause, take a couple minutes, because, my heart's racing and I'm out of breath.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Okay. And so
the process is
that's
very
you on your
slow.
feet for about 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. Bruce here says loved ones can go through PTSD as well. How is your fiance holding up?
You want to answer that one?
And she can come
Um,
around on camera. We would love to
Yeah,
meet
you can
her.
come
Yeah.
if you want.
This is where chocolate and roses comes to play. Hello.
Hi. I'm doing okay. It was hard at first. I have a medical background, so I'm a little, I deal with medical issues a lot, so I could I could deal with it a little bit better. I can tell you that first that I remember the flight paramedic telling me to she was leaving. She says, "Do not rush to get there. You won't be able to get to see him. Take your time." And she says it's going to feel like it's going to take you forever, and it did. It felt like it took me days to get there. That night.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Um,
hard. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, we lean on each other a lot
Mm-hmm.
with it.
It's going to be necessary. We have a caregiver support group that is available for you to get tips and tricks and kind of understand how things are going along this path. A lot of the ladies that are in there talk about not being able to sleep very well, especially in those first few months.
Oh yeah, that was me. I slept with my hand laying on his stomach, not his chest, but his stomach when he first came home for almost the first month. When I was home, just to make sure that he was still breathing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
We had Mindy from the Aortic Kitchen. She's the nutritionist for us. She said the very same thing. She said right as her husband, the Aortic chef Rob, came home, she slept with her hand on his chest, just
it
feeling for
is.
the heartbeat. Yeah,
Yep,
that's
I
how you
could.
know you got a good one, Jason.
Yeah,
Hand, hand.
And
I could like I would wake up and throughout the night just making sure he was still breathing.
yeah, yeah. Bruce is asking, are you back to work?
I am not back to work. I am on long-term disability right now. Um, I have a telehealth visit with my second surgeon on June the 16th. We'll discuss it then. Um, I still don't feel that I'm going to be able to go back then. She's probably going to have to extend it further out, just because, I mean, honestly, if I went to work at 5 o'clock in the morning, I would be totally beat by 7:30.
Hmm.
And that's probably being generous, but because I work all my life I've worked construction. I've been a welder, forklift operator, painter, um, been in the steel industry for a while, working different factory and warehouse jobs. And there's luckily the insurance company has told me that they had me fill out a form for the last 15 years that I've worked. What did you do? And I put down every different job that I had, and they actually help with job placement, because chances are I'm not going to be able to go back to being a forklift operator, because I know from doing research that the forklifts that I drive are propane powered. A fully filled aluminum propane tank weighs 56 pounds. I've got a lifetime ban of 50 pounds. So that's 6 pounds over my limit. So unless I get somebody to help me lift the propane tank every single time and put it back on the forklift, I'm not going to be able to go back to doing what I was.
Yeah, that's going to be troublesome for sure.
Yeah.
I would ask you not to go back to work for quite some time. It's not even the physicality of your job. The idea that you're going to lock in for 8 hours a day, for some people, that first year in general is one where you find yourself, your mind wanders. I don't know if you've experienced any of that.
A little bit, but not to an extreme.
Okay. One thing to be aware of is pump head. And so this is a thing where if you're on a heart-lung machine, eventually every now and then you'll walk into a room and completely forget why you went in there. You'll end up having some trouble remembering what you're about to say, right? And some people find this very, very frustrating.
Right. Yeah, I had an episode of that probably about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. I was driving to cardiac rehab, and I got there. I pulled in the parking lot. I pulled my phone out of my pocket. I don't remember if I checked email or messaged somebody or something. And then I took my phone and slid it under my leg. Well, 5 minutes later, when I went to get out, I always do the old pocket check. I check my pocket, my left pocket for my phone, my right pocket for my keys, and my back pocket for my wallet. So I did the pat down, and I was like, oh, my phone's not in my pocket. Well, I'm going into cardiac rehab. I don't need it anyway. And then in a split second, I remembered, hey, dummy, it's under your leg. So yeah, I did have one of those pump head moments.
Yeah. That's a good one. So Bruce here says, I agree with Joshua. I went back to work way too soon. It's a thing that's echoed. A lot of people, they want to get back to normal as fast as possible. And for all of us, for any of us that have, a job that we care about, we want to get there as fast as possible for that normalcy.
Right.
But it's just, I don't want you grasping at normalcy just yet. It's the best advice I could give anyone is, for example, if the roles here were reversed, you would be like, no, sweetheart, just relax. We're going to get through this. Please take it easy, the whole thing. But we will never give ourselves that grace. And so kind of take
we're
that.
very hard on.
Yes, we want to push.
Well, and like you said, it's that need to feel, I want to get back to as close to what I was like before this happened as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep reminding you that there's always going to be a new normal.
Yes, the new normal.
There's a new normal now.
Yeah, and you can settle into it. You just
will adjust to
it. It's going to take much longer than you expect.
Yes, right. I know. And that's what I keep saying. We will adjust to the new normals.
Yeah. And I wish you great luck. Right?
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And enjoy Ocean City. You're getting there at a good time of year before it gets all bananas.
Yeah, our room is ocean block, so I can look out the balcony.
That's what he keeps doing. He keeps looking over at the ocean. That's what he's doing. I
Ocean,
should have closed the window
the
so he
ocean is
couldn't
my
see.
happy place.
I should have
So
closed the window so he couldn't see.
that's one of the places. The last time we were here, I was still in recovery, and that's
The, the,
yeah.
would you like to tell that
Yeah,
story?
I'll tell this story real quick.
Yeah.
So we were fiance and I were laying in bed one night. We both couldn't sleep, and we had planned on going to a wedding expo, maybe about 45 minutes to an. It's in Salisbury, so it's about 45 minutes away from Ocean City, and we had planned on going there. And during my second recovery, while I was still in the hospital, I told the nurses, I said, "Hey, you got to get me out of here."
Oh.
So I took a picture of the engagement ring in my hand and showed it on my phone to the nurses, and they were like, "Oh, say no more. We'll have you out of here by Saturday." So I think they had me out of there on either Wednesday or Thursday of that week. So anyway, we're laying in bed, both couldn't sleep, and this was Thursday night, and my fiance looked over at me and said, "Do you want to just go to Ocean City early?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Like I said, we'd both been up all day. We weren't tired, so I wasn't able to drive yet because of my driving restriction being so soon out of surgery. So she drove the whole way. It's about 3 hours, a little over 3 hours to get here. And then we got here, and the way I proposed was because so soon out of surgery, I can't get down on one knee. Like I said, I'm old school. I can't do it. So I grabbed my pants, put my pants on, and I go to the bathroom and I said, "Hey, could you come in here and help me with this, with something real quick?" So she was like, "Why did you grab your pants?" Well, the ring box was in my pants pocket. Couldn't tell her that. So she comes in the bathroom and I'm standing there with one knee on the toilet. And I said, "This is as close to being down on one knee as I can. Will you marry me?"
I love this story.
So, like I said, I couldn't, there's no physical way. I would have had to have her help me up, which, like I said, as a tough guy, you don't want anybody helping you up. So, yeah, given the situation and circumstances and the environment, I did what I had to do in order to still be down on one knee to propose.
It's our story and I love it.
I love this story. That is grit right there. I love that. Molly says thank you. She's
Thank
our
you.
social media director.
Okay.
Let me think. Where else would I go with this? We talked about medicine, genetics, therapies.
Oh yeah, just a quick plug. I have my Aortic Hope shirt on.
Oh, we all know. We love it.
For the video.
For the
Yeah, I
driving.
ordered that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I ordered this whenever Aortic Hope was having their fundraiser shirt drive
Yep.
thing. All right, your question.
Oh, no. I was trying to think about what else I might want to ask, but I think we covered all the bases. And
You said something about driving.
Oh yes, driving. We have the seatbelt covers, and this is a shameless plugs here, but an aortic disease patient. If for any reason you're unconscious when somebody walks up to your car, they can see that there's a thing there. They'll know not to do certain things to you. They'll know to open that up and take a look at it. It has a medical alert kind of icon on it. I would urge you guys to think about that, as well as we have a relationship with Lauren's Hope, And this
Right.
is yeah, the ID bracelets. And one of my favorite things that she mentioned during one of her interviews with Karen, and she does these, maybe twice a year with Karen. She says, it's a really interesting thing when you think about when is an appropriate time to have a conversation about a medical alert bracelet. It's definitely not during an emergency.
Right.
Right. And then you think about how drugged up you are in the post surgeries, the adjustments that are going on there. And so it becomes a question of, hey, when do you want to have this conversation? And it's a hard conversation to have for people that are new to aortic disease. You are not somebody who's been living with this disease your whole life. It's not something that you sought out early on. So keep in mind that that's a thing, and we would love to make sure that you guys have that peace of mind that comes with making sure that should anything happen, somebody would
Right.
know, right?
Well, and I think along those lines, I think that's also technically a part of, like you said, the seatbelt cover, as well as the medical ID bracelet. It's all part of preventive maintenance.
Yes, sir.
You're preventing, because I know a big aspect of Aortic Hope organization is making doctors, nurses, first responders aware of this situation so they don't go in and do something that's irreversible.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have that knowledge going into the situation, into that environment, they can be more aware, hey, I need to look out for these things instead of just going in and treating them as any other trauma patient.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. That's actually a good segue into there was a story that we had with Christopher Moz. Um, After he had multiple surgeries for dissection repair. He ended up right before he told us the story, he came out of another life-saving surgery. The thing is that the surgery that he was undergoing was something that hospital does like 3,000 times a year, and they never really have any troubles. And he is one of two people in the United States, and I think he's the 11th or 12th person in the world to record what happened to him. And it goes back to the mystery of what kind of genetic disorder has this connective
Right.
tissue problem. And so a routine surgery ended up having him lose several pints of blood. And obviously they went from routine to emergency response to, instead of doing a regular thing, to a, full blown emergency. And so keep that in mind. We've heard stories of people completely forgetting that they should mention that they have an aortic, disease in the family or what have you, and they're going in there, they're trying to get a checkup, and people are kind of talking around them, and things are progressing, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, and by the way, I survived an aortic dissection several years ago, and then all trains stop, and it's like, oh,
Right. That changes the whole path trajectory
yeah,
of where they were going.
yeah. So
So
raising. Oh, go ahead, please.
I do have a question. So if we were looking into the ID bracelet or the necklace on our own, is there any certain thing that it should say on it?
Oh, so the people at Lawrence Hope, they're actually made in America. All things are made in America, and they will walk you through everything that you need in there.
Okay.
One of the things that, if I can remember correctly, Karen was talking about blood pressure medications. And so it's not good enough to say what blood pressure medication you're on as much as it is to say which one you're on, because that specific medication might have reactions to other things. But when you talk to them, like you can do a phone call with them and they will help you fill out everything. So you're going to say things like aortic dissection, the big medical thing, the aortic dissection, any allergies, the ICEs, the in case of emergency, and then I think those are the big ones. And they give you about 6 lines, I think. So take the time though. They'll sit with you. They're very, very, very good about this. Absolutely.
Okay.
And they also have things like if you don't want to wear something around your wrist, like I'm one of those people, I can't have anything around my wrists. I work, if it's on my wrists, it drives me insane.
Right.
So they have dog tags. They have much more that's not strictly for women. They have masculine designs for things. So feel free to find them. Yeah, absolutely. And emergency technicians are trained to look for neck and wrists.
Okay.
The seatbelt cover that you were referring
Mhm.
to earlier, where is that?
You can
What is,
find that right on Aortic Hope Shops. So when you go to the
okay.
aortichope.org, you'll click on
Mhm.
Hope Shops, and you'll see a list of Hope Shops that we have. The very first one is going to be the things that we do self-fulfillment for, and then there are going to be lists of things like we have Teespring, and a few others that are there. And so Teespring will have T-shirts of all, everything on there: sportswear, relaxed wear. They have like a
Mm-hmm.
little bear that you can get with stuff on it. It's a good place to see mugs, the whole nine.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, great to hear. Well, I don't want to take up the rest of your evening. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing. And again, congratulations on your nuptials. We'll be looking forward to all the pictures in October. Uh,
Absolutely.
Velda says, "You two are wonderful. Take care and go slow. It all takes time." It all
Right.
takes time is an excellent way to put it.
Yep. That's a good summation of this whole situation.
Right? Do you guys want to ask these nice people to like and subscribe?
Yes, like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live at Aortic Hope. Um, but yeah, thanks for watching and sharing my story and asking questions. That helps everybody grow.
Right on. And with that, everyone, we will see you guys soon. Take care.